Good morning to everybody. Welcome to the today class. And this is the last class because today's the exam is from the 2 to 5, and hence the Waqf that which I am going to deal today. Please read, unmute and read what I posted on the screen. Anyone? Anyone unmute and read what I posted on the screen so that you could know that I am with you and you are with me, and you could see me and not see me. You can see the what I posted on the screen, and you could hear my voice also. Both audible and visible will be confirmed. Anyone can unmute and read what I posted on the screen. Okay, without wasting time, that I would read it. Good morning. The Waqf under the Muslim law. When you say Waqf, the spelling is WAKF or WAQF. But if you strictly seeking the Waqf Act of 1995, which clearly says WAQF under the Muslim law, that is WAQF. For instance, I will show you that what is written over there. See, here I have shown I'm sure that you could see it, what I put on the screen. There the spelling is THE, the space WAQF Act, comma 1995. That is the Waqf. And Waqf is a singular form and Awqaf is the plural form. Please note the point. And okay, let me close this one. Then I will go back to our study. Yes. So what is Waqf? So a Waqf under the Muslim law is essentially a religious and pious obligation, though provision is sometimes also made for the for the charities and for the benefit of the oneself, one's children and descendants. Descendants here, alal awlad, that is the word used in the Muslim law. The origin of the Waqf is traced to an utterance of the Prophet. Yeah, after the Prophet only this Waqf has come. Earlier, there is no concept of the Waqf. So it is compiled by me, that is the Professor Dr. Mohammed Saheb Hussain. And as in this class that I would like to deal only the Waqf definitions and essential of Waqf and the kind of Waqf and the creation of Waqf, legal consequence of Waqf and the revocation of Waqf. These are the things which I want to make it out in this class. Yes, participant, can you read that what I posted on the screen, which is there in the, especially this is, color is, I don't know, what do you say this color? Okay, it doesn't matter, color is, Bachar Pandu Rangu, that what you say it is in Telugu. Okay, let us see that pious foundations are known, purple color, that is the right word. Pious foundations are known in the Islamic world as a awqaf, that is Buniyad or Habs. Whereas the later two terms, that is Buniyad and Habs, these two terms are used primarily in Iran. Buniyad is in Iran and North Africa, Habs. The former is known with the slight variations. In the rest of the Islamic world, the word Waqf and its plural form of awqaf are derived from the Arabic root verb waqafa, Waqafa, which means causing a thing to stop and stand still. The second meaning is simply pious, that is a charitable foundation. So that is the origin of the word. The perception of the Waqf has been established in the Islamic law. There was no concept of Waqf in Arabia before the advent of Islam. Although there is no mention of Waqf as such such a Quranic injunctions which deal with the charity are the root of the development and extension of the Waqf. According to the Amir Ali, he describes the law of Waqf as, I quote, the most important branch of Muslim law for its interwoven with the entire religious life and social economy of Muslims. Waqf in its literal sense means detention or stoppage. And quote. This is according to the Amir Ali. Now let us see another definition of the Waqf according to the accepted doctrine of the Hanafi school is the extinction of the proprietary ownership in the things dedicated and its detention in the implied ownership of God. See, ownership will be the extinction and the implied ownership to the God in such a manner that the profit may revert to and be applied for the benefit of the mankind. Of course, the property devoted to God, devoted to the God, and the usufruct will be enjoyed by the benefit of mankind, irrespective of the caste and religion. Waqf under the Muslim law owes its origin to a rule laid down by the Prophet and means, I quote, the tying up the property in the ownership of the God, the Almighty, and the devotion of the prophets for the benefit of the human being. So, what is the meaning of the Waqf? As we said earlier, also, it has a root from the Arabic word waqafa. And if you look at the word waqf in its literal sense, it is referred to as a detention, or we can say stoppage or tying up. According to the legal definition, it means a dedication of some property for a pious purposes in the perpetuity. See, pious purposes means not for the antisocial acts or not for the any other bad thing. It is that thing which will give the moksha to a person, the punyamu in Telugu, what you say. In perpetuity, not for the time being, in perpetuity, forever. Once the property is devoted to God, it is forever. So it cannot be revoked also in one way in another way. The property is so alienated should be available for the religious or charitable purpose. So whatever the property that you are giving, alienating to the other person, it is for the charitable purposes and purposes. Such a property is tied up forever and becomes a non-transferable. It will, the person who dedicates or devolve the property is called Waqf. It will not be reverted back to the Waqf, because once it is given for all. Like a arrow comes out of a bow once, then it cannot be go back. That is the same thing. Once the Waqf has given the property in the name of the Almighty God for the pious purposes and charitable purposes for the human mankind. I say human mankind here said, I did not say Muslims, Hindus, or any other caste and creed. So let us see, it has been decided in the case of M. Kazim versus A. Asghar Ali. The Waqf in its legal sense means the creation of some specific property for the fulfillment of some pious purposes or religious purposes. Here say the pious purposes or religious purposes. A lot of eminent Muslim jurists have defined the Waqf in their own way according to the Abu Hanifa. Yes, one of the Abu Hanifa, what he said, I quote, Waqf is the detention of the specific things that in the ownership of the Waqif are a proprietor. Who is a Waqif? Anyone in the class? Who is a Waqif? Yes, I will give the answer. Waqif is the person who dedicates his property to the God. It said the Waqif. Is it clear? Say yes. Unmute and give me the answer. Yes. Okay. Waqif means a person who has given them property in the name of God for perpetuity, or we can say appropriated, and the devotion of its profit or usufruct to charity, the poor, or the good objects to accommodate loan. Even accommodate loan also it will be given. They say poor, they did not say poor Muslims or poor Hindus, poor Sikhs, poor Christians, poor Buddhists. So as different with Abu Yusuf, there's another Waqf. Waqf has the three main elements. Perhaps Abu Yusuf definition or his say will be the quite good relevant now. They are ownership of God, so God becomes the ownership. The extinction of the founder's right. Who is the founder here? Waqif, the person who donates or gives or transfers or alienates the property in the name of God. This is the founder's right. The extinction of the founder's right. Number two, the benefit of the mankind. They say benefit of the mankind, but did not say benefit of the Muslims. Is it clear? Say yes. Okay, no matter. I will continue it. So the definition under the Mussalman Waqf Validating Act of 1913, Section 2 of the Act defines Waqf as, quotation starts, the permanent dedication by a person professing the Muslim faith for any property, for any purpose recognized by the Muslim law as a religious or pious or charitable. So the three things are very much essential. It should be religious. Number two, pious. It should be a charitable, not for the private purpose or somebody's birthday celebrations. Yeah, the pious purposes means either you can give the charity for the giving the good education by opening the schools, or giving the good health care by opening the hospitals, and any other thing which comes under it, where the people needs hungry and supplying the food to them, because it's a pandemic, and supplying the oxygen or supplying the Covishield or any other injection for the poor, availability for them. The Waqf Act 1954, of course, is the old act. defines waqf as a waqf means a permanent dedication by a person professing the Islam of let me stop this one video. Yeah. Any purpose recurring of the Muslim law as religious, pious, and charitable. The present one is the Waqf Act 1995, where Waqf defined under the section 3, clause R. The earlier, I believe that the 1984 is now more in the use. The Waqf Act 1995 is in the enforcement now. A waqf can be either in writing or can be made by an oral presentation, but generally it should be in a writing to avoid the other complications. In the case of an oral agreement, the presence of the words emphasizing the intention of the parties is a prerequisite. Then whenever a person is giving the waqf property to the waqf, but his intention is very much important factor. What is the essential of the waqf? Let us see. Waqf under the Sunni law. The essential condition of the valid waqf, according to the Hanafi law, that is the Sunni law, are number one, a permanent dedication to any property. Number two, the dedicator means waqif or founder should be a person professing the Muslim faith and of sound mind and not a minor or lunatic. Emphasize, he is a Muslim faith of a sound mind and not a minor or a lunatic. But you may ask me, sir, only Muslim could give the property to the waqf. Any person give the property to the waqf, but the purpose should not be against the Islamic teaching. That is a very much important point. Number three, the dedication should be for the purpose recognized by the Muslim law as a religious, pious, and charitable. These are the three words: religious, pious, or charitable. These are the main aim of the giving the property to the waqf, where the usufruct or benefit will be enjoyed, and by the human mankind, but it should be for the religious and pious and charitable purposes. Number one, what is permanent dedication of property? The most important essential of a valid waqf is that it should be a permanent dedication of property. It has the following prerequisite. Number one, there must be a dedication. Number two, the dedication must be permanent. Number three, the dedication must be of any property. I say any property, movable, immovable, house, land, or any other thing, even the usufruct of a land. The Waqf himself has the right to donate such a property and give it for any purpose recognized under Muslim law. If the Waqf is made for the limited period, it cannot be considered as a valid Waqf. So, if it is for the limited period is there, it cannot be considered as a valid Waqf, because the essential thing is that it should be perpetual, permanent. Once it is given, means given in the name of God. Yes. In the case of Karnataka Board of Waqf versus Muhammad Nazir Ahmed, in this case law, it was held that quotation starts accord. If a Muslim man provides his house to the travelers irrespective of their religion and stated for their stay, this cannot be considered as a valid waqf on the ground that under Muslim law, waqf has a religious motive that it should be created for the benefit of the Muslim community. When waqf is constituted, it is also a presumption that it is a gift of some property made in favor of God. This is a legal definition. For temporary purpose, you should not be given over there if he is giving any property. But the property should be, especially for the religious and pious and charitable purposes, it should be given over there. So that is the motive of the waqif. Second, by a person professing Muslim faith, the person creating the work should be adult Muslim of sound mind. Of course, that is the one of the conditions. Second condition. The third is for any purpose recognized with the Muslim law. The main objective behind the creating the waqf is that it should be dedicated for the purpose of recognizing the religious. I told you the three: religious, pious, or charitable under the Muslim law. Waqf under Shia law. How? Because there is a Sunni law waqf board, there is a Shia law waqf board. Because the two schools of thought are there. The waqf under the Shia law is the essential condition for creating the valid waqf according to the Shia law are: number one, can anyone unmute and read what I put it on the screen? Yes, anyone? Why you are not making it unmute and read? Okay, without wasting time, that I will read. The first condition is must be perpetual, means permanent. Number two, it must be absolute and unconditional. Yes, conditional should not be there. Number three, possession of the thing appropriated must be given. The possession of the thing means possession should be given over there, must be given. Number four, the last one, the waqf property should be entirely taken out of the waqif. Who is the waqif? Can anyone give me the answer? Unmute and give me the answer. Who is the waqif? Waqif is the person who donates or gives or transfers, eliminate the property, not eliminate the property. alienate the property in the name of the God for perpetuity. And he is called a Waqf or founder or a settler in one way and another way. Who can create a Waqf? As I told you, a person constituting a Waqf of his own property is known as the founder of Waqf or Waqf. To become a Waqf, a person dedicating the property must be competent enough to do according to the provision of the law. Means he should be sane, adult, and the property should belong to him, and he has given the property for perpetual purposes for the human mankind, and the purpose also be the religious, pious, and charitable. So these are which need to be fulfilled to become a Waqf and constitute a Waqf. Number one, the Waqf should be the person constituting the Waqf should be a Muslim. Of course, later part we can say that another person also can give the property to the Waqf. But number two, should be a person of sound mind. Yes, he should not be insane. Number three, should have attained the age of majority. Yes, completion of 18 years. That is the must condition, irrespective of man or woman. Any person can give. But the Madras and Nagpur High Court have they held that non-Muslim can also create a valid Waqf. I told you earlier. Even a non-Muslim also can create a valid Waqf, provided what is the condition? The objective of the work so created is not against the principle of Islam. That the object is not against the principle of Islam. That even a non-Muslim also create a Waqf. W-A-Q-F. Yes. According to the Patna High Court, a valid Waqf can also be constituted by a non-Muslim. However, I repeat, however, such a Waqf would only be constituted under the public Waqf. That is not a private Waqf. That is a non-Muslim cannot create a private Waqf. Means that is an imambra and the other purposes. It should be the public purposes. A non-Muslim can make a Waqf. Okay. A person of unsound mind is incompetent to constitute a Waqf property. Such a person cannot judge the legal consequence of such a transaction. Therefore, a Waqf constituted by an insane or a minor person is void. The second condition is a person may profess the capacity but may not have any right to constitute a Waqf. Such a person cannot constitute a valid Waqf. Let us see that the subject matter of the Waqf should be owned by the Waqif. Yes. Attasomu allowed danam cheyanattu gaadu. No, the property belongs to the owner, Waqif, founder. At the same time, when Waqf is being constituted, whether the Waqf can be created by a particular person depends upon whether there exists a legal right for the dedicator or to transfer the ownership of the property or not. That means he should be a owner of the property. Yes. Can anyone can unmute and read the next para which I posted on the? Yes. Okay. I will, without wasting time, I will read it. A Waqf of any property, as any property held by the widow in lieu of her unpaid dower cannot be constituted by her because she is not an absolute owner of the property. So of course, the meher, that is unpaid dower, is not an absolute property of it unless until it is paid to her. In case of a Waqf with a Pardanishin lady, it is the duty of the beneficiary and the mutawalli to prove that the woman had exercised her mind independently for constituting the Waqf after fully understanding the nature of the transaction. Even a Pardanishin lady can also give the property in the Waqf, and she will be a Waqf, provided she should know that what she is doing and understand the property is used for the charitable, pious, and religious purposes. With that view, even a Pardanishin lady also can give it, and she can also become a Waqf. Number third, the person can dedicate his entire property for the creation of the Waqf, but in the case of the testamentary Waqf means in the form of a will. More than 1/3 of the property cannot be dedicated. That is another point. Testamentary dedication in the form of a will. I already discussed it yesterday class. 1/3 only there. If it is exceeds by 1/3, then tell me whose consent should be taken? Anyone? Whose consent should be taken? Oh, yesterday I told you the consent of the legal heirs. Okay, that is. Okay, now let us see what is the doctrine of separation. The doctrine of separation means as nearly as possible. The doctrine of separation is a principle of the English law for the trust. Under this doctrine, a trust is executed or carried out as nearly as possible according to the objects laid down in it. So the doctrine of separation is applicable also to the Waqf, and where it is not possible to continue any Waqf because of lapse of time or changed circumstances or some legal difficulty, and where the specified object has already been completed, the Waqf may be allowed to continue further by applying the doctrine of separation. Same other purposes, if they can make it. For instance, a Waqf is made in the name of God for the educating the children. Suppose the educating the children is over, the same purpose, near purpose, educating the adults also will be continued. And in the same way, the doctrine of suppress not only the educated man and woman and everybody would be continued over there. Again, the new children has come over there, and again the new children will be given the education. So this doctrine of suppress will be applicable over there continuously. What are the legal incidents of Waqf? Let us see. The following are the legal incidents of Waqf. What is the what is the legal incidents will happen? Yes, can anyone can unmute and read that what I posted on the screen? Today I don't know why the people are not unmute and reading. Okay, without wasting the time, let me continue it. The following are the legal incidents of Waqf. Number one, irrevocability. Yes, once it is made, it cannot be revoked back. As I told earlier that once the arrow comes out of the bow, it cannot be get it back. The way irrevocability is there, number one. Number two, perpetuity means unconditionally. It should be given permanently to the God, where all the rights of the donor, I mean not donor here, you can say Waqf will come to an end. Then the ownership transferred to the name of the God. Of course, the usufruct of the beneficiary would be for the purpose of the human mankind, that is the religious, pious, and charitable purposes. That is the three should be fulfilled. Number third, inalienability. Inalienability means we cannot dispose it off. It cannot be alienated once it is given to the God. Number four, pious and charitable use of the usufruct. Of course, pious and charitable use of the usufruct, the benefit they have to use it for the religious purpose. And the last word is absoluteness. Yes, that is very important. Absoluteness, no conditional. So these are the things where we can say the legal incidents of the Waqf. Let us see the mode of creation of Waqf. A Waqf can be created in the following ways: by an act inter vivos, by will, then during the death of or illness, there is a marzul maut, by immemorial user. These are the way where a Waqf can be created. Then what is an anterior inter vivos? This type of the Waqf is created between the living vices, that like a will constituted, gift constituted during the lifetime of the Waqif and takes effect from the very moment. Once it is given over there, it should be continued. By will, a Waqf created by will is contradictory to the Waqf created by an inter vivos. It takes effect only after the death of the Waqif. By the will testamentary, then only it takes effect only after the death of the testamentary Waqf. Such a Waqf cannot operate upon more than one third, because we tell you we can give the only Waqf. In the will, we can bequeath only one third of the net assets, but if it is more than that, we already told you that. Yes, more than that, whose consent should be taken? Anyone? For the more than one, whose consent should be taken? Today people are done. Okay, the legal heirs consent should be taken. That is a very important factor. Then the C, during the death or illness, that is called marzul maut. Actually, maul, no, maut. Anyway, that is the Arabic word. But maut means demise or dead. Like the gift made while the donor is on the deathbed will operate till the extent of one third of the property without the consent of the heirs of the property. Only one third of the property without the consent of the heirs of the property. If it is more than one third, then consent of the legal heir should be taken. D. By immemorial user, limitation of the time also applies to the creation of the Waqf property, but Waqf property can be established by way of immemorial use. So these are the things which we will cover under the above caption. The next caption is, side heading is, yes, anyone can read what is the next side heading, which I highlighted here. Completion of Waqf. A Waqf can be completed by the following modes. How? A, where the third person is appointed as the first mutawalli. Of course, he is taken care of like a supervisor or manager, and where the founder constitutes himself as the first mutawalli. Suppose when no mutawalli is there, then the founder or the Waqif himself will be the mutawalli. Of course, he can put it there in the will, or he put it there in the things wherever he wants it. But the thing is, one should have to make it very much essential factor. Then kinds of Waqf. Then the kinds of Waqf, when you say it is a public Waqf and a private Waqf, these are the kinds of the Waqf are there. And because yes, my online class is going on. I am teaching the kinds of the Waqf now. That is the number one, public Waqf, and number two, private Waqf. When you say the public, for it is created for the public or religious or charitable purposes. When you say the private waqf, this type of the waqf is created for the settlers' own family and his descendants, and is also known as waqful waqf ulal awlad. Waqf ulal awlad. It is a kind of the family settlement in the form of waqf. Then let us see the kinds of the waqf from the view of their purposes. Number one, that the waqf ahalil awlad. That is the another point is waqf ahalil. Waqf ahli, number one, waqf khairi, then next waqf al sabil, then waqf al avirad. Because the depending upon the view or the purpose where it is created, like a waqf ahli, the waqf is basically created to cater to the needs of the waqf founders in children and their descendants. But the nominee don't have the right to sell or dispose the property which is the subject matter of waqf. So that is a very important factor. Next is, what is the next? Waqf Khairi. This kind of the waqf is established for charitable and philanthropic purposes. The beneficiary is such a kind of the waqf may include the people belong to the economical sections of the society. It is used as an investment for the building mosque, shelter homes, schools, madrasas, colleges, universities. All of these built to help and uplift the economically challenged individuals. That is called Waqf Khairi. Then Waqf al-Sabil. The beneficiary of such a Waqf is the general public, although similar to the Waqf Khairi, is the type of Waqf is generally used to establish, it is very similar to the Waqf Khairi, though generally used for establishment and construction. This is a construction purpose, public utility, like construction of mosques, construction of power plant, construction of water supplies, and construction of graveyards, construction of schools. Then the last one is Waqf al Awarid. In such a kind of waqf, the yield is held in the reserve so that it can be used in the case of emergency or any unexpected event that affect the livelihood as well being a particular community in a negative manner. For example, pandemic, oxygen is needed over there. Then waqf can be serve the purpose. Then waqf will awarid. For example, waqf may be assigned to cater the specific needs of the society, like the providing the medication for the sick people, providing the medication, or providing the oxygen cylinder for the persons those who are suffering from the pandemic. COVID-19 now is the new Micron, the wave, which is they say people said it is more dangerous than the COVID-19. But anyway, the various people giving the various version for it, but only the dare to fight it and develop a good faith, develop that immunity in your heart. No, nothing can destroy you. Then let us see the who can't afford the expensive medicine for them, that it will be given the Waqf al-Awarid. Waqf al-Awarid may also be used to finances the maintenance of the utility services for a particular village or a neighborhood, like utility for the starved people, the food, and the people those who could not afford the medicine for the medicine, and the people who could not afford for their any operation, and from there this Waqf al-Awarid would be used over there. Then let us see the kinds of the work from the view of its output nature. What is the output nature? One way we can say waqf istihmar. Waqf istihmar. Such a kind of the waqf is created by using the assets of the investment purposes. The assets are managed in such a way so that the income is applied for the constructing and the reconstructing the waqf property. Only the purpose and output depend upon that. It can be decided that is a waqf istithmar. Then B is the waqf mubashar. I repeat, waqf mubashar. The assets of such a waqf are used to generate the services which would be some benefit to some charity recipients and other beneficiaries. Example of such assets include the schools and utilities. Almost all it is give the same sense, but only the utility and purpose and how far that you could use it, the usufruct, beneficiary and the purposes and what way that it can be used, then it can be decided in the different manner. Now let us see what is the legal consequence of the waqf. Once the waqf is complete, the following are the legal consequences. Number one, dedication to God. Means the property vested in the God in the sense that nobody can claim ownership of it, even including the waqif or settler. In Muhammad Ismail versus Thakur Sabir Ali, this is the case law, held that even a waqf al-awlad, yes, for the descendants also, the property is dedicated to God, only the usufruct are used by the descendants. Now, irrevocability, that is, we have the syllabus, that's why I highlighted it. Can any person will read that what they are making it? Yes, irrevocability in India, a waqf once declared a complete cannot be revoked. The waqf cannot be get the property back in his name if any other name, because Yeah, any other name. Number two, that is the three, permanent or perpetual. Perpetuity is an essential element of the Waqf. Once the perpetuity is given to Waqf, it remains for the Waqf forever. Waqf cannot be specified time duration. In the one of the case law, MST Piran versus Hafiz Muhammad, it was held by the Allahabad High Court that the Waqf of a house built on the land leased for a fixed term was invalid because that is the public purposes should be there. That is the point, and charitable and pious and religious purposes. Next, inalienable. Since Waqf property belongs to God, no human being can alienate for himself or any other person. It cannot be sold or given away to anybody, including the Waqf, the person who has given it. Pious and charitable purposes, yes, use. The useful factor of the Waqf property can only be used with the pious and charitable purposes. It can be used for the descendant in case of the private Waqf. As I told you, alal aulad, that is what that I used over there. Yes, next is extinction of the right of the Waqif. Yes, once the Waqif loses all rights even to the usufruct or the property, he cannot claim any benefit from the property. Even no benefit could be claimed from the Waqif, the founder, the settler who has given the property to the Waqf in the name of the God for the benefit of the human mankind. Then the next is the power of the court's inspection. The courts have the power to inspect the functioning and management of the Waqf property, misuse of the property, of usufruct in a criminal offense as per the Waqf Act of 1995. So these are the things which I want to share with you. And this is the last class, as I told you. And today I will wish you the best of luck and the best of your efforts for making success anyway that are successfully completed to my extent, because I already told you that. What is my slogan? Yes, can anyone tell me what is my slogan? Sir, we don't know. I already told you my slogan, which I again will put it at the curtain riser, and here, this is my slogan. With that view only that I am able to say this. అన్ని దానముల కన్నా విద్యాదానం విన్నా. A quote, in all arms, education arms is at zenith. I am quote by, yes, that is the thing which I want to share with you. And now I would like to close my thing. Of course, this is the old one. Yes, I want to make it out. We can close it out. Okay. Now the time is going to be up. And with this, I would say goodbye to you and have a good efforts in writing the today's examination. My wishes and blessings are with you. And Jai Hind. Bye.